This is Talk 650.
This is Talk 650.
Powered by CBS Radio.
Bruce Hotze is in the studio with us. We've been talking about Proposition 1, which is going to be on the ballot in November. I've always been amazed, Bruce, that these propositions kind of come out there. There's Proposition 1. Is there a number 2? I'm sure there is. But they don't get a whole lot of play in the mainstream. And I'm I don't know, dismayed by that. That's why we had you on this morning, to find out more about this issue.
Well, you know, the laws were written back when they were just newspapers, so
yeah,
they don't have to publish anything except for a newspaper, and they put it back in the legal notice section, so you really never see it.
Have you tried to read that stuff?
The legal section, you know.
Oh, my goodness.
Especially when the city wants to put something, they'll put it in a half-inch wide column, and it'll be the whole page long, and it's unreadable.
It is, well, it is unreadable, and it's unintelligible if you could read it. So that's why you're here. Proposition 1 is raising a whole lot of yellow flags on the minds of some folks who believe that it's not going to give us the kind of transparency for the city government to be the proper stewards of our tax dollars to get this job done. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, I think that's part of it. The other thing is they will tell you that it's frozen in this account and it can't be moved. Well, there's nothing that could be farther from the truth.
I've heard that before.
The Water and Sewer Fund right now is supposed to stay in the Water and Sewer Fund. But state law allows that money to be transferred. In fact, they transferred probably some $40 million out of the Water and Sewer Fund to the general fund last year. Well, if you don't think that this is a tax that's going to end up going into the city general fund, you're crazy. It will absolutely go into the general fund, and it will not be designated for water and streets. If you have a bond and you issue bonds, those bond funds can only be spent on things that you voted on and were listed in the bond election.
Yeah. Is there a better way to do this? You have a lot of good connections in this city, and you're a respected man. Are there folks that you work with who have been able to come up with a better way to get this job done without changing the city charter?
You know, certainly we can do, the city council can make proposals. We can do real live studies and find out about where we need drainage, where are the drainage problems, where do we need to spend the money to fix the drainage problems, where do we need to spend the money to fix the streets. If we do need to fix streets, do you know that there's about $189 million that Metro owes to the city of Houston for mobility funds, and they haven't paid them. I told the city council member Costello, why don't you go over there and get that $189 million from Metro, and let's spend those on the streets today. Let's get the money for Metro. Let's not let them spend that money on light rail, and let's go fix the streets.
If Proposition 1 should pass, then what is the strategy for your group? Will you be watchdogs to make it accountable? What will you do?
I don't know what you do. I mean, I have no idea how you do this. It's pretty much the mayor controls all these budgets. City council's not going to be doing that. There will be some CIP money, but I don't know how you're going to be in charge of it, because I believe the money is fungible and it can be moved to the general fund, and it just means larger, bigger government. It's going to be like New York or California, which are the biggest governments around, and they're all in debt. And the city of Houston will be spending the same way at such accelerated rates that there'll be no way to control it.
Let's ask the question from the other direction then. If it fails, then how do we address this stuff?
Certainly you would do a study about what needs to be done.
But we've done those. I mean,
I haven't seen a study.
Studies since Allison.
You ask Steve Costello, where's the list of the first project that they would do, and he is dumbfounded. There is not a number one project that they would spend the first dollar on. There's no list.
Do you have an idea of where they should start?
I haven't. I say we need to do a study. Before we spend money, we ought to study it. We shouldn't be a bunch of engineers and say, hey, we ought to go out and mandate that we have $400 million a year that the city spends on my business. That would be great. Maybe they come buy some compressor parts for me.
Paid political advertising. an emergency will come up. How do you deal with the emergency that is going to be the exception to the rule?
We deal with emergency through the regular funds. I mean, holy smokes, we pay $850, $900 million a year worth of property taxes. We pay sales taxes. What are they doing with that money? They should be taking care of roads and police and fire. They shouldn't be taking care of building sports arenas for billionaire owners and millionaire players. They shouldn't be building parking garages downtown for the Toyota Center. They should be building roads and taking care of mobility. We've got our priorities wrong.
Well, but those were public-private partnerships. Those were the city invested some, the developers divested some. It was a partnership to put those things into place, without which neither party could have produced those buildings, those facilities.
That's not true.
Yeah, I'm with Bruce
That's
on this.
not true.
Those sports franchises make millions and millions of dollars. They can afford their own stuff.
Let me tell you, if they could pay these players $58 million a year, they certainly can pay their own fair rent. And I'll tell you that the Staples Center out in California is only has a 10% participation, and I think the same thing goes for the new Garden up in Boston.
Yeah.
And there are fantastic franchises. They don't need the help of L.A. or Boston government to make them make their own money and their own facilities.
Do you see the landscape changing? Because what essentially has happened is these professional sports operations have held cities and municipalities hostage by saying, if you don't do this for us, we'll take our toys, we'll take our team, and we'll go elsewhere. I sense that is changing just a little bit. Do you?
It probably has. It probably has changed. It certainly hadn't changed. It's changed in Los Angeles and Boston for sure.
Yeah.
And certainly, pretty soon, when all these bonds go default here for the Harris County Sports Authority, then we'll wonder why on earth did we listen to all these people and say that it was our responsibility to build brand new stadiums for all these sports teams, for billionaire owners and millionaire players. It's absolutely crazy.
In the last time we have here, I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there because I know it's a lightning rod. What do you think we should do with the Astrodome?
Oh, boy, I don't know. I grew up in the Astrodome.
It's our heritage. It's part of our upbringing.
So I don't know what I don't know what to do with the Astrodome.
They had three choices, and everybody kind of voted to turn it into this multi-use facility. Still going to take money to do that, though.
No. You know, they were trying to bring the Olympics here, and that's one of the reasons they saved it. So
there's an idea for you. Bruce, the door is always open for you to come back. We'll talk about this some more. We'll follow up on the story as Election Day draws closer. It's so nice to have you in here.
I appreciate it. And I urge all the listeners out there to read up and listen and find out what's going on with these three propositions.
That's exactly right. Bruce Hotze, ladies and gentlemen, on the Talk 650 Morning Show.
Coming up next, our man about town, Scott Arthur, with a peek behind the scenes at Tutz's production of Hairspray, right here on Talk 650, powered by CBS Radio.